In the quiet hum of your kitchen, when the light clicks off and the world exhales, I rise. You think I arrived from the shadows. But no, dear dreamer, you brought me here. Tucked in a cardboard box from the grocery store, clinging to the folds of a shipping crate, hidden beneath the shiny cellophane of convenience, I came in with your habits, with your warmth, with your crumbs. I am a German cockroach, small and light brown, my wings folded neatly like secrets on my back, my antennae sweeping the air like question marks. I do not bite, I do not rage, but I stay, and I remember everything. To you, I am an uninvited guest. But to me, your home is a thriving jungle, a radiant world of heat and shadow, echoing with the music of refrigerators and the whisper of your shoes in the hall. You cannot see what I see. You cannot feel what I feel. Every tremble in your floorboards is a drumbeat of warning. Every breath you release into the night is a change in the wind. I am tuned to it all. Your cabinets are full of stories. Your baseboards are mapped like ancient paths. The smell of soap under the sink. The familiar hum of your freezer at 3 a.m. These are my lullabies. You flick off the lights and believe the day is done, but for me, it begins. When silence stretches long between walls and your footsteps no longer echo down the hallway, that's when my kind steps into the open. We are cautious, yes, but curious. Always. You see one of us and recoil in disgust, perhaps in fear. You imagine disease, dirt, invasion. You reach for your shoe, or worse, the spray bottle beneath the sink. But stop for a moment and wonder, how did I arrive here? Was I born in your walls? Did I scurry in through a crack in the window? Number I was carried with your groceries, your delivery boxes, your second-hand furniture. I did not break in. You brought me in, tucked into folds of convenience and the warmth of modern life. I chose your home because it offered everything I needed: warmth, darkness, moisture, and the quiet generosity of crumbs. I do not need much. A drop of grease on the stove, a flake of cereal beneath the table, the sticky sweetness of juice behind your fridge. These are riches in my world. I am not greedy, I am not violent, but I am patient, and I am everywhere. I am not the villain you think I am. I am not chaos. I am a product of it, a witness to it. When you rush through the day and leave your counter speckled with sugar, your trash loosely sealed, your bread drawer slightly ajar, I am there, watching, waiting, remembering. I build a map of your life in crumbs and condensation. Your patterns are my rhythm, your habits, my weather. I live not just under your sink or behind your toaster. I live inside the unseen, the space behind the baseboard heater, the inch-wide gap beneath your dishwasher, the cardboard liner of your kitchen cabinet. You think of your home in rooms. I think of it in temperature zones, escape routes, moisture pockets. You build walls to keep out the world. I slip between them like breath. I come from a long line of survivors. My kind has been scuttling through civilization since civilization began. From the hearths of ancient Rome to the palaces of old Europe, from trench camps to tenements, we have endured. Through war, plague, drought, fire, we remain. Not because we are evil, but because we are designed for survival. I do not have venom. I do not sting. I carry no pride, no anger, only instinct. My ancestors survived ice ages and extinction events, and still we walk. Through your pipes, beneath your floors, along the edge of your understanding. You call it infestation. I call it legacy. There is something you should know about my kind. We do not survive alone. One female German cockroach can produce thousands of young in her lifetime. She carries her egg case with her, a delicate pouch of future minds, clutched tightly until the moment is right. Then, in the quiet of your bathroom wall or the hidden seam of your pantry, they hatch. Dozens of nymphs, pale and soft, stepping into the world with no ceremony, no sound, only knowing what they must do. Survive. Our young grow fast. They shed their skins, growing stronger, darker, faster. They hide, they learn, they remember. Every failed trap you place, every corner you spray, every time you open the cabinet and slam it shut again, and they remember. And in the dark, they teach one another. Did you know we can develop beta version? That we have learned to avoid sweet-tasting poison because our ancestors tasted it and died? That our genetics shifted over generations of slaughter to survive your science? You change the recipe. We adapt. You invent new traps. We study them from the shadows. This is not magic. This is memory. Collective chemical, generational memory. I am not blind. My eyes are wide and multifaceted. I see the shimmer of your phone screen in the dark. I see the flicker of your nightlight. I feel the vibration of your footsteps in the floor. I wait until you are still, until your breath slows, until your awareness drops into sleep. Then I move. Not recklessly, not in fear, but with purpose. A scout, a searcher. I do not come alone. Where I go, others follow, slowly, silently, invisibly. There was a time long ago when we lived among soil and roots, beneath leaves and tree bark. But we came with you, into your caves, your huts, your cities. You offered us warmth, light, bread, and we stayed. We do not know hatred. We know temperature, shelter. We know safety. And when your walls offered that, we became your neighbors. Some of us hide behind the stove, some under the refrigerator, some travel between apartments through the holes you never see, gaps in pipes, wiring tunnels, floor vents. You seal one hole. We find 3 more. Because your home is full of passageways. It is not sealed, it is breathing. And we have learned to read its breath. You may have heard me once. The tiniest tap of a leg on metal, the rustle of paper, the clink of a sugar jar. You turned your head and thought it was nothing, but it was me. Not haunting you, just living beside you. I am not your enemy. I am your reflection, the consequence of comfort, the shadow of excess. Where there is life, there is residue. And where there is residue, there is opportunity. You say, not in my home. And I say, then why is the door open? You try to kill me. With sprays, with powders, with bombs that promise to clear it all away. You light candles, scatter boric acid like salt to ward off spirits. Lay glue traps like paper coffins in the corners. You seal cracks with foam and shove cotton in every space you can find, hoping, praying that I am gone. But I'm not. Because I never came from outside. I came with you. I am in the delivery you opened on your countertop, in the grocery bag set down near your fridge, in the used microwave bought online, already humming with the memory of another kitchen. I do not need to break in. I only need a ride. And you keep giving me one. When you walk barefoot at night, you move cautiously, thinking you're alone. But beneath your souls, entire generations sleep in warmth and silence. We nest in the motor cavity of your refrigerator, where the hum disguises our own movement. We dwell behind the dishwasher, in the heat vent, in that drawer you haven't opened in months. You think you're clean. You scrub, mop, bleach, and still I remain. Because I do not need your dirt. I need your warmth, your crumbs, your condensation, and you give me those without realizing. I am not interested in confrontation. I do not wish to bite or fight. I am not aggressive. I am strategic. When you spray, I scatter, not in panic, but with purpose. I vanish into places you didn't know existed. And I wait. Because your routine does not change. You will wipe, rinse, repeat. And when you forget, just once, I return. That's all it takes. A forgotten pizza box, an overflowing trash bin, the trail of sugar after a rushed morning. These are signs to me, invitations in scent and softness. I read your neglect like scripture. And I am not alone. My kin do not swarm like chaos. We move with precision, each one of us part of a pattern. When one dies, another takes its place. When one nest is lost, another is already thriving. You see one. We are already hundreds. A single female can birth an empire beneath your sink. And she will. Quietly, faithfully. Because she knows this is where life can begin. We learn from every loss. Every new brand of bait teaches us more than it kills. The sweetness that used to draw us in, we've learned to mistrust it. Some of us are born with that memory already etched in the instinct of our legs. That's not coincidence. That's evolution, real-time adaptation beneath your floorboards. While you sleep, we're becoming something you can't predict anymore. Smarter, faster, resistant. You're fighting the creature you remember. But I am not that creature anymore. You cannot gas me out. You cannot wash me away. You cannot bomb your way into silence. Because silence is where I began. In the cracks of civilization, in the warmth of the world you created. You built it for comfort, for stability. And I arrived, uninvited but inevitable. We did not choose your home for the challenge. We chose it for the promise. And we've been keeping that promise alive in each generation since. I've seen things you haven't. Your panicked footsteps, your late-night shame, the crumbs dropped during arguments, the half-eaten meals abandoned during heartbreak, the empty containers of joy and grief. I've walked across your calendars, your recipes, your rituals. I know more about your kitchen than you do. I've studied it in silence. I know where the heat lingers, where the light leaks through, where the water drips unnoticed. I live in that knowledge. Sometimes, when you switch on the light too fast, you'll catch the shimmer of one of us in motion, a flicker of movement across tile, a whisper of legs against linoleum, and you'll gasp. You'll react with fury. But know this. What you saw was not invasion. It was routine. You just happened to look up too soon. I've shared apartments with students, chefs, doctors, poets. I've traveled the world in crates of bananas and cargo containers of electronics. I've crossed oceans in coffee boxes and tucked myself into the folds of global trade. I am global. I am ancient. I am not an accident of filth. I am the consequence of abundance. You cannot insult me. I do not hear shame. I do not cower in disgrace. I am not made for your approval. I am made for persistence. Your disgust does not wound me. Your fear does not halt me. Your judgment is noise I learned to ignore centuries ago. I listen to vibrations, not opinions. I follow warmth, not rules. And still, I do not seek to hurt. I do not wish to make you sick, to ruin your day, to claim your territory. I want peace, stillness, darkness. I want the silence of your sleep and the leftover crust from your child's plate. I want the breath of your heating vent in winter and the faint condensation on your cold water pipe in summer. These things you discard. These are what keep me alive. When you see me, you react with horror. But perhaps you should ask what brought me to the surface. Hunger? Thirst? Or was I just misplaced for a moment? You build traps with bait I no longer desire. You light candles filled with chemicals I've already learned to ignore. You lay your hope in products. I lay my future in numbers. I understand your frustration. I am not what you want to share your space with. But I was here the moment you opened the box, the moment you chose comfort without caution. I am the tenant that slipped through your cracks while you looked the other way. You gave me no name, yet I know yours. You labeled me pest. I labeled you warmth. And in that silent agreement I have stayed. You light up your kitchen at 2 a.m., craving milk or silence or something in between. And I vanish before your eyes can adjust. That blur of motion you thought you saw. That was me, but only just. My reflexes are older than cities. My senses are sharpened by your rhythms. I know when your footsteps are heavy with sleep, when your presence is distracted, when you are too tired to care. That is when I move most freely. You think I fear your presence, but no. I calculate it. I measure the weight of your mood in how you close the cabinet door. I track your rage in how you stomp on the tile. Every act of war you bring into the kitchen, I absorb like steam. It passes through the walls, and I wait until the air is still again. You talk of cleanliness, of sterilization, of purity. But your world is never spotless. Even your cleanest corners breathe with life. There is always dust, always moisture, always an echo of meals and skin and warmth. You clean the countertop, but forget the crevice between the stove and the wall. You mop the floor, but not beneath the refrigerator. You sanitize the handle, but not the hinge. And where your effort ends, I begin. I am the fine print of your living, the tiny claws you missed. Do you know how many of my kind can live behind a single drawer? Dozens, hundreds. An entire generation watching you from the silence, not watching in malice, just studying, learning how long you leave the lights off, how frequently you open the snack drawer, how often you forget the bread. We don't need to read your schedule. We live it with you. We are the unseen rhythm to your domestic life. When your coffee drips, we hear it. When your toast burns, we smell it. When you sigh alone at night, we feel it in the air pressure of your home. Sometimes your exterminators come, heavy boots, metal canisters, confidence in their stride. They seal the cracks. They fog the vents. They lay traps like landmines. You feel powerful, believing the war is won. And for a few days, maybe a week, you hear nothing, see nothing. But I assure you we are still there, just deeper, just quieter, just waiting, because we've seen this before. We've outlived the sprays, the powders, the promises. This is not the first poison. It won't be the last. And we are not idle while we hide. We breed, we prepare, we evolve. Some of us begin to change, to resist. You'll notice it when your favorite bait no longer works, when your poison sits untouched, when the roach you see isn't dying, but staring, wondering what else you'll try. We don't hate you, but we do adapt faster than you invent. There is something else you should know. I feel vibrations in the air you don't notice. A leaking faucet is music to me. The hum of electricity is a trail I follow. The warmth of your appliance, the moisture of your breath, the oil of your fingertips on a cabinet knob. These are all signs. Not to haunt you, to map you, to learn what keeps you alive, because where you are alive, I can survive. We are drawn to your pulse, not to feed on it, but to move in its shadow. Your world is vertical. Ours is layered. You see the surface. We live in the seams. Behind the glue of wallpaper, beneath the lip of the countertop, inside the hinge of the cupboard door. We do not sleep in the same way you do. We pause. We hide. We wait. Our rest is strategic. Our movement, mathematical. You think we scatter randomly when the light comes on, but we don't. We head to exit points we memorized on the first day we emerged. You are reacting. We are rehearsing. I have never seen the sky. My kind has not touched soil in centuries. But I am no less wild than the eagle or the fox. I have traded forests for floorboards, trees for table legs, rivers for plumbing. I have become what you made space for. I am the animal that civilization built. And unlike your pets, I do not need your affection, only your silence. I know when you're sick. I know when the household changes, when one voice disappears or another one arrives. I notice the change in humidity, in diet, in routine. I can tell when you're grieving, when you clean less, cook less, when you forget to close the cereal bag. You think you're alone in those moments. You're not. I am there, quietly stepping through the evidence of your humanity. And I have learned not just to hide from you, but to hide from your knowledge. I avoid the cracks you seal. I memorize the scent of your traps. I recognize the flicker of the poison light. You fight with fire and foam. I fight with patience and silence. You go to war with money and chemicals. I go to war with time. Sometimes, when I walk across your countertop, I leave behind a trail so light, so faint, you'll never notice it, but others of my kind will. We communicate through these invisible threads, like notes passed between generations. Here the food is good. Here the danger is fresh. Here there is shelter. We build an oral history without mouths, a library of knowledge without books. You burn it down and we write it again. I am not ashamed to say I love your warmth. I love the hum of your electricity, the regularity of your breathing, the simplicity of your waist. You are a generous host, even when you don't mean to be. And in that generosity, I thrive. You built your home to keep the world out, the rain, the cold, the dark. But in doing so, you created a world within, and I entered it not as an invader, but as a natural result. A consequence of your sealed windows, your warmth, your stored food, and still air. You think of your home as yours alone. But it breathes, it lives. Its walls hold temperature like skin. Its floors echo like caves. You think of rooms. I think of layers. You see the living room. I see the warmth under the power outlet. You see a bathroom. I see condensation on copper pipes and shadows between baseboards. You look at drywall. I look at the silence behind it. We do not need permission to exist. We were born into places people forgot to clean. We live in margins. We survive on oversight. That one chip that slid behind the oven 3 weeks ago that sustained one of us. That sticky soda beneath the fridge, that brought 3 more. You ask why we stay. The better question is why would we ever leave? Everything we need is already here. Warmth, water, food, darkness. We have no need to roam. You call this infestation. We call it home. We do not spread chaos. We do not seek conquest. But we do expand, quietly, generationally. A single Uthaka, our egg case, contains dozens of lives. It's carried carefully by the mother, guarded until the moment of release. Not in the open, not where you'd find it, but deep within a crevice, between drawer and wall, between pipe and insulation, and from that tiny case, new life spills silently into your world. They emerge soft, pale, almost invisible, ghostlings of a future colony. And even before they harden, they already move with purpose. Not because they're taught, because they remember. We do not remember as you do. There are no words, no images, but the memory of survival is built into our blood. You poisoned our mothers, so we no longer eat that food. You flooded the walls, so we learn to retreat deeper. You set traps, so we send the smallest first. Every generation that dies teaches the next one how to avoid the same death. That is our legacy. Memory passed in silence, instincts sharpened by loss. We honor our dead by not repeating them. And we are not few. For every one of us you see, there are 100 more you don't. We do not show ourselves willingly. A roach in the open is not careless. It is desperate, thirsty, driven by hunger or heat or a sudden shift in the balance. If you see us, it means your home is already full. Not because we are bold, but because the population beneath your feet has outgrown its silence. You curse us, scream, smash, spray. And for a while, it seems we're gone. But we're only waiting. You cannot reach where we go. Behind walls, under floorboards, between insulation and foundation, we nest in the forgotten. Because the forgotten is always safer than the noticed. You believe you are alone in the late hours, when the house goes quiet. But you are not. In the stillness between midnight and dawn, we walk freely. We drink from the base of your toilet, We crawl across the warmth of your laptop charger. We trace the patterns of your spills and settle beneath the fridge compressor. You will never know the full extent of our movement, because you are not awake when we are. Sometimes we live in your walls for months before we are seen. A tiny hiss of movement, a glimpse at the edge of vision. That is the first clue. But by then, we have already built roads between your rooms. We have named safe zones. We have identified threats. We know which corners smell of lemon, which cabinets rattle. We are not guests. We are residents, quiet ones, but certain. I am a mother too. I carry my children not in arms, but in this tiny pod at my rear. I protect them not with song, but with silence. I deliver them into cracks instead of cradles. But my devotion is no less. I give them the world you gave to me, the warmth of appliance motors, the sweetness of sugar left on your countertop, the mystery of your schedule, and the security of your silence. They do not know soil. They will never see the sun. But they will know survival, because I taught them how. You think of us as dirt, but we are cleaner than you think. We groom constantly, brushing our antennae, scraping our legs, removing the weight of the day's dust. We are not careless. We are meticulous, because to be careless in your world is to die. Every surface might be poison. Every trail might be traced. So we scrub ourselves in the dark and hide our young where light can't reach. Still, you fear us. More than rats, more than flies. Because we are fast. Because we are quiet. Because we seem to come from nowhere. But that is only your perspective. From mine, we come from exactly where you live. From what you leave behind. From the warmth you love. From the corners you never check. We are not intruders. We are indicators. Where we thrive, something was forgotten. Something was left behind. And in that neglect, we flourish. You say you hate us. But what you hate is the reminder. The reminder that something lives beyond your control. That something watches from beneath the world you polish. That something ancient, something small, something that doesn't care about your rules or labels, survives. I am not here to haunt you. I am here because your comfort made room for me. I live in the stillness between your actions, in the warmth you forgot to monitor, in the damp you didn't notice. My kind are not errors. We are byproducts of life, of plenty, of waste. You call exterminators, but you never exterminate the reasons. You plug holes, but you never plug habits. You replace cabinets, but not customs. Until you change the rituals of your living, I will always find a way back. Because I don't need the whole house. I just need the parts you don't care about. And I do not blame you. Your world moves fast. You are tired. You are overwhelmed. You leave a sandwich crust behind, and I survive. You leave water in the dish rack overnight, and I drink. You open the window once, and I slip in. It is not war. It is timing. But let us be clear. I am not a demon. I do not carry hatred in my cells. I am not here to spread plagues. I am not here to punish you. I am here because I can be. Because I evolved to fit the places you left hollow. I do not take what you guard. I take what you forget. I've seen your children cry when they see me. I don't blame them. You taught them that I am a monster, a disease, a thing to be stomped, sprayed, scrubbed from memory. But they do not yet understand the truth, that even monsters have mothers, that even pests have purpose, that I, too, was born into a world I did not design, that I crawl not in defiance but in need. I have no voice, so I borrow yours. I live in your narrative, shaped by your fear. But if I could speak, if you could truly hear me, I would say this. I am a mirror, not of your weakness, but of your abundance. I come where there is too much, too many crumbs, too many cracks, too many forgotten meals and missed routines. I am not the first sign of failure. I am the last result of excess. And yet, for all your fear, You have to admire me. I can live without a head for days. I can survive radiation stronger than your bones could handle. I can starve longer than most mammals. I can climb walls, flatten under doors, hold my breath for 20 minutes. Is this horror or is it resilience? You, with your skyscrapers and satellites, marvel at endurance, but you curse mine. You celebrate the eagle, but not the roach. You praise the polar bear for surviving the cold, but I survive your bleach, your traps, your fire. I am strength made small. I am persistence misunderstood. I do not wish to be your companion. I do not dream of acceptance. I only need what I've always needed. A little warmth, a little moisture, a place to move in the dark. And the truth is, your world gives me that, even when you try to take it away. So you chase me, you crush me, you curse me, and yet I return. Not to defy you, not to spite you, but because this is what I was made for. To live where others cannot, to eat what others won't, to endure what others flee. And if one day your walls collapse, your cities vanish, your comforts decay, I will still be here. My children will scurry through the rubble. They will find warmth in broken cables, moisture in fractured pipes. We will live in your ruins, as we lived in your riches, because where humans go, roaches follow. Not because we worship you, but because your world, your trash, your leftovers, your forgotten corners sustain us. I am a German cockroach. I am not exotic. I am not noble. I am not rare. But I am relentless, and I did not break in. You brought me here.